It's a new year and a new chance for you to make a fresh start with your compliance. We're going to be bringing you a daily tip, strategy, or idea that you can use to improve your program. Here's your host, Tom Fox, the Compliance Evangelist.
Day 25, Chief Compliance Officer Authority and Independence. The role of the CCO has steadily grown in stature and prestige over the years. The 2020 FCPA Resource Guide under the Hallmarks of an Effective Compliance Program focused on whether the CCO held senior management status and had a direct reporting line to the board. In appraising a compliance program, the DOJ and SEC also consider whether a company has assigned responsibility for the oversight and implementation of a company's compliance program to one or more specific senior executives within an organization. Those individuals must have appropriate authority within the organization, adequate autonomy for management, sufficient resources to ensure the company's compliance program is implemented effectively. Adequate autonomy generally includes direct access to an organization's governing authority, such as the board of directors and committees of the board of directors. The Hallmark has significantly expanded in both the 2020 update and the FCPA Corporate Enforcement Policy. In doing so, the DOJ has increased the prestige, the authority, and the role of the CCO in corporate compliance functions. The 2020 update has 5 general areas of inquiry around the CCO and corporate compliance functions. Number 1, how does the CCO salary and stature within the organization compare to other executives within the company? 2, what are the experience and stature of the CCO within an organization? Does the CCO have appropriate training for the role? 3, how much autonomy does the CCO have to report to the board of directors? How often does the CCO meet with the board of directors? Are members of the senior management committee present for those meetings with the board of directors or the audit committee? 4, what is your structure? Is the compliance function run by a designated chief compliance officer or another executive within the company, and does that person have other roles within the company? 5, is data in your organization so siloed that the CCO does not have access to it? If so, what are you doing about it? In the FCPA Corporate Enforcement Policy, the DOJ outlined these factors as follows: the quality and experience of the CCO, such that they can understand and identify the transactions and activities that pose a potential risk. 2, the authority and independence of the CCO. 3, compensation and promotion of the CCO in view of their role, responsibilities, performance, and other appropriate factors. 4, reporting structure of any CCO employed or contracted by the company. Clearly, the DOJ is articulating that it expects true compliance professionals who understand the way compliance interacts and supports the business to be the CCO chair. The days of a law school-trained CCO who cannot read a spreadsheet are consigned to the dustbin of non-compliant history. But more than simply compliance professionalism, companies must compensate and promote compliance professionals within their organization. Simply burying someone in the compliance function of a law department because they cannot cut it will no longer suffice. The DOJ has not taken a formal position on whether a GC can also be a CCO. However, the language of the Corporate Enforcement Policy in the 2020 update seemed to signal the death knell for the dual GC-CCO role. They may also signal the larger issue that the CCO should have a separate reporting line to the board apart from the GC. While the DOJ's stated position is that it does not concern itself with whether the CCO reports to the GC or reports independently, it is more concerned about whether the CCO has a voice to go directly to the CEO or board of directors directly, if not via the GC. Even if the answer is yes, the DOJ would want to know if the CCO has ever exercised that right. If the 2020 update comes as close to any time previously stated in articulating a DOJ policy that the CCO must be independent of the GC's office. Therefore, if your CCO still reports up through the GC, you must have a demonstrable evidence of both CCO independence and actual straight line of side authority to the board. Here are some questions you should consider in evaluating this. First and foremost, is the CCO part of senior management or the C-suite? Is the CCO part of a regular meeting group? Who can terminate the CCO? CEO, the board, or does the CCO termination require the entire board? More importantly, can a person under investigation or scrutiny by the CCO fire the CCO? If the answer is yes, the CCO clearly does not have requisite authority. Another additional question to consider: who can override a decision by the CCO within an organization? And who is making decisions around salary and compensation for the CCO? Is it the CEO, the GC, the Board Compliance Committee, or some other group? We're going to have a quick word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back with today's 3 key takeaways. So what are today's 3 key takeaways? Number 1, how can you show the CCO really has a seat at the senior executive table? Number 2, what are the professional qualifications of your CCO? Does he have a degree? Does he have a specialization? How many compliance classes or compliance certifications has he received, if any? And 3, does your CCO have true independence to report directly to the board? This means without going first to your general counsel or the CEO. It's an important question to answer. This is Tom Fox again. Thank you for listening to this episode of 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance Program. I hope you will join me for the entire month of January, where I take a look at some of the significant changes in compliance and FCPA enforcement. 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance Program is a part of the Compliance Podcast Network.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.